Hey friends, today I'm going to show you how to transplant any plant from pot to ground and back again. Moving a plant from pot to ground or the other way is easier than you think if you follow the right steps. So today I'll show you both techniques and share simple tips that save time, reduce stress, and protect your roots. If you stick around till the end, I'll show you a quick trick for when you need to transplant a really big plant or tree. We'll answer this question along the way. Does it matter which way you go? Pot to ground or ground to pot? It turns out it doesn't. But let's get started with part 1, pot to ground. Step 1, pick the right spot. Matching growing conditions to your plant's needs makes all the difference. A rosemary from your kitchen window, for example, will have different needs than a hydrangea from your shade garden. You want a location with similar sun exposure and soil moisture levels? Take a few notes before you begin. For our sunny spot, I've chosen a coneflower that grew in a pot last year. This one gets plenty of sun, but the soil here in Zone 7 is not very well drained. So I'll amend the hole with some extra compost to improve drainage over time. Speaking of drainage, that brings me to step 2. Prep the hole twice the size of the root ball. Depending on the size of your plant, you may have to dig a pretty big hole. That's fine. Just be sure to loosen the soil in and around the hole. This helps the roots expand without hitting a hard wall. If you're planting in spring or summer, you might see little shoots popping up inside the hole. No worries. Just cut them off now. Step 3. Remove. Give the pot a little tap on the edge to loosen the root mass and gently slide the plant out. If it's root-bound, massage the roots gently to untangle them a bit. We don't want to damage the roots, so go easy. If there are a lot of broken roots, take a moment to snip them off. Now is a good time to admire the roots and see what you're working with. At this point, I like to check the plant's moisture level. If it's bone dry, give it a drink, then wait a minute or two and continue on. In step 4, plant at the same depth. The soil line should be the same as it was in its container. Not too deep, not too shallow. Backfill with soil from the hole. Don't use topsoil from your garden. It could contain weed seeds or pathogens. And yes, you can plant deeper than the container. But the added soil needs to be the same mix as what was originally surrounding the roots. In step 5, water deeply. Saturate the area to settle the roots and eliminate air pockets. Unlike container growing, in-ground plants have more room to spread out their roots, so make sure they have enough water to quench their thirst. That's it for part 1. Next, we'll tackle ground to pot, and I'll throw in a bonus tip. In the meantime, let me know in the comments if you prefer in-ground or container gardening. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button because I share helpful garden info every week. For our ground to pot transplant, I chose this overgrown coneflower. It's a perennial, but I like the idea of bringing it indoors after it finishes blooming. First, I'll need to water it ahead of time. That brings us to step 1, water ahead of time. Giving your plant a drink or 2 days ahead of transplanting makes the process much easier. Moist soil equals less root shock and cleaner removal. For established plants, ULL also have less disturbance to the root system. If you are unworking in bone-dry soil, next, step 2, dig wide and deep. Get as much of the root ball as possible, especially for perennials. For annuals that haven't bloomed yet, you can get away with just a little tug. But for perennials, put in the effort now to enjoy blooms next year. Just like with the potted plant, if the soil is dry, give it a drink and come back to it later. At this point, if you see damaged roots, feel free to trim them off. Now take a look at this root ball. These roots were circling inside the pot. Can you see it? I'll break them up a little to encourage outward growth. Once it's loosened, we can move on to step 3. Choose the right pot. Go bigger than the root mass, and be sure it has drainage holes. If you use an old pot, go ahead and add some soil mix now. Otherwise, set it in place and add ½ an inch of soil mix. Step 4. Fill and settle. Position your plant in the center and fill in around it. Press gently and water thoroughly. Container-grown plants dry out faster, so keep an eye on the moisture level and water accordingly. And finally, step 5, acclimate gradually. Keep it in partial shade first, then if it's a sunny spot, move it into full sun slowly over the course of a week or so. Here's a quick recap of the steps for each method. When moving from pot to ground, choose a sunny spot, then prep the hole, remove the plant at the same depth, and water deeply. When moving from ground to pot, water ahead of time, dig wide and deep, choose the right pot, fill and settle it in, then acclimate gradually. Now let's cover those bonus tips. You can tackle these in either order. Tip number 1, avoid transplanting during the hottest time of the day or in high heat. Early morning or late afternoon is best. Tip number 2, use mycorrhizal inoculant or compost tea to boost root health. Mycorrhizae are beneficial fungi that form a strong network with plant roots. Compost tea provides food for beneficial microbes that help with nutrient uptake. And speaking of microbes, tip number 3, time it right. Working in hot, dry soil can lead to transplant shock, so try for early morning or late afternoon when temperatures are cooler. And tip number 4, clean your tools between plants to avoid spreading disease. Now that you know how to transplant, you can move your plants with confidence. Whether you're rescuing a struggling plant or upgrading your layout, transplanting is a game changer. Got a tricky plant? Drop it in the comments, and I'll walk you through it. Thanks so much for watching.